This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the new Full Battle Rattle Studios.
That permanent class there in D.C. that's been out of touch from what it is that we believe in. It's some simple beliefs that we have, and that is abiding by the Constitution, the perfect blueprint that will put us on the path towards a more perfect union.
Grizzlies and Gators. Oh my. Rob Maness is here today to talk about Gator PAC, the Colonel's Political Action Committee committed to fighting for liberty. Rob Maness back with us for a second straight week in a moment. Plus, we'll have the latest national and Alaska headlines in Sarah Palin News. We'll visit the Crow's Nest with Tanya Crow in California. Also from the Golden State, Kelly Carlson is on target. And a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert coming up from Texas. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by Full Battle Rattle. Full Battle Rattle, helping veterans suffering from combat-related disabilities through the healing power of music. Learn more at facebook.com/fullbattlerattle.abq. You remember that amazing ad when Governor Palin endorsed Rob Maness in Louisiana, a video that included a real gator. Now, Colonel Maness is running Gator PAC, and today we find out all about it. And we are happy to welcome Colonel Rob Maness back to the program. We had a great discussion last week regarding foreign policy and the latest moves out of the Trump administration, and we wanted the Colonel to come on again to talk about Gator PAC, which he is behind, based in the great state of Louisiana. And, Colonel, let's tell everybody about Gator PAC if we could.
Well, Gator PAC is a hybrid super PAC that we created in 2015 after my U.S. Senate run against Mary Landry in 2014. And its mission is simple. It's drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. and show who all the Gator career politicians are and get them out of there so that the American people have power returned to them. And we've reactivated the PAC this year, and it's continuing to grow strong. We've already supported a state representative, combat veteran candidate here in Louisiana that's going to a runoff here in a couple of weeks, and it looks like he's going to win. And we wanted to support, especially those kind of political candidates running for office that many of them are combat veterans or veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces. They're outsiders, have not been in politics before, and folks that just understand what it means to have liberty, believe in limited government, and the prosperity of the American people, and want that for the American people.
Well, and I love the name, Gator PAC, and those of you who remember when Governor Palin endorsed Rob Maness for your run there in Louisiana, that a great ad with you and the governor with an actual gator.
Absolutely right. And if you go to www.gatorpac.com, that's GATORPAC.com, and on the home page, there's a link to that radio ad and Governor Palin's picture with an alligator. Because she is the one that really gave us that great line in that ad, and we really ran with it. We had a good run in that thing, and I'm proud to say that President Trump picked it up in early September, late August of this past year in his presidential campaign, and made it even more famous. And I give Governor Sarah Palin all credit for that, and appreciate the president using that line. I think it made a lot of votes for him.
You got to love it, right? Gators and Grizzlies.
Absolutely.
So some of the candidates that you've supported, what is it? I mean, you talk about words like liberty, and that is important to all of us. What is it you look for exactly? And this is this has to be pointed out. You're not just looking at Louisiana, right?
No, we're not just looking at Louisiana. But our first year we operated was 2015. We helped get the lieutenant governor, a Republican, elected in Louisiana. We got 3 Republican women elected, conservative Republican women that had not been in office before. We got 2 conservative men, helped them get elected to the state house in 2015. And then this year we have a special election. A combat veteran from northern Louisiana is running to replace the seat that Congressman Mike Johnson, who's a very conservative member of the House Freedom Caucus now, in the 4th District of Louisiana. Ray Cruz, former B-52 aviator and combat veteran, is in a runoff now, and we're supporting him for that. So we're looking for candidates that generally have not necessarily been in politics before, but have the core values of believing in the Constitution of the United States, the foundations of liberty and prosperity that underpin that, and want to govern in that way and legislate in that way so that they're protecting our liberties and ensuring our prosperity instead of doing things like trying to make up new rights or take away rights or put regulations or laws in place that keep businesses from being created and keep jobs from being created, and do the opposite of that. And I know that's hard to do, but we are making some progress with that. President Trump is an outsider candidate, somebody that Gator Pack would have supported had it been active during the presidential campaign. And we want him to be as successful as possible. And he's already doing a lot of great things, like rolling back regulations, eliminating things, and stopping the EPA from hurting farmers and all kinds of things like that. And we're just very proud to say that that's the type of candidate that we support, and we're going to continue to support those kind of candidates.
And what's great through Gator Pack, not only are you endorsing some strong candidates, but you're able to use, your chairmanship of Gator Pack as a title for you out there to speak to people, whether it be on the airwaves, or I know you were involved in the Spirit of America rallies and also some other pro-Trump rallies and whatnot. And it's, getting the word out, because after all, we talk about President Trump, you said, as an outsider, and, the runs of Governor Palin, the runs of yourself. Yeah, you're outsiders, and everyone likes these people, but it's not just the person running, it's the whole movement. And I think Gator Pack kind of encompasses that. And, people looking for, a pack they can trust, and a pack where you don't have to maybe do all the vetting yourself. It's already done by a stand-up guy like Colonel Rob Maness.
That's exactly right. That's what we try to do is try to vet candidates. We also take on issues this year in Louisiana. We've got some major issues in the state that I'm going to be working with folks in grassroots organizations at the state legislature during our session here. Military monuments are coming under attack by the progressive liberals in this state, and even the statue of Andrew Jackson down at St. Louis Cathedral in downtown New Orleans, one of the most iconic statues and memorials to a military officer and group in the United States that's visible and known by almost all, is potentially going to be torn down and thrown away in the ash heap of history and have American history be deleted. So we're going to be fighting to protect those military memorials and battlefield markers. We're going to be fighting against new taxes and those kinds of things from an issues perspective. And those are the things that we're going to do. And we let our voices be heard at the national level, too. We've supported President Trump in his bid to get rid of Obamacare, and we tried to fight that initial Ryan Care bill because it was the wrong bill for the wrong time, and it would have hurt the president and the country and the Republican Party. And we're glad that we got that turned around, and hopefully they'll come to an agreement on the right kind of conservative bill with real free market principles in it, and repeal that Obamacare law that's hurting all of us here in America. And we're fighting to support those kinds of things too.
Well, and that's the key, the last part of what you said, with the whole Obamacare situation and not being able to replace immediately. A lot of people thought, oh, well, it's a done deal now. It's just a stepping stone. And one, it's going to really show how poor this Obamacare situation is, but also expose those establishment types who didn't want to make this happen the right way.
That's right. A lot of Republicans apparently ran on repealing Obamacare and really don't want to do that. So Gator Pack stands as a citizens action organization that's also going to fight to do what's right and do what the voters have demanded, which is why President Trump got elected in the first place, and that is to literally drain the swamp and get rid of these horrendous government legislations and regulations and laws that are stopping businesses from being created, stopping existing businesses from creating new jobs and being prosperous and expanding and those kinds of things. And I think we're well on our way to getting that job done.
All right, Colonel, and it is GatorPack.com, right? Easy enough?
It is GatorPack.com. This thing doesn't run on air either. We need your help. If you could go make a donation at GatorPack.com, we'd appreciate it. We're not being run by billionaires and all of those kinds of things. We're running off of our $10 bills and $5 bills and $25 checks. So we appreciate your help.
And in some cases, you're trying to oust elected officials who do run on air, a lot of hot air.
Yeah, they do, and a lot of billions of dollars.
Got that right. Colonel Rob Maness, thank you so much. I hope you and your family are well, and it's always a pleasure to speak to you.
God bless you, Kevin, and thanks for having us back on. It's good to be back.
For more on Colonel Rob Maness and Gator Pack, visit GatorPack.com. Now it's time for Sarah Palin News headlines and more about Governor Palin. Easter greetings from Alaska. Governor Palin exposes liberal lies. Palin features some true American patriots. And Palin tells us where Barack Obama's book belongs. To read about all of these stories, visit the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety and to read her devotionals, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page. Follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA. And don't miss the new sarahpalin.com. Now let's head to the crow's nest. Here's Tanya Crow.
Thanks, Kevin. Red, white, and blue. These are the colors of the flag of one of the greatest God-given gifts of a country that this world has ever been given. There is so much to be grateful for. The preservation of a Western civilization, the Judeo-Christian foundation that this country was founded on, but not exclusive to. It's so important to have a moral compass, to be able to see good from bad, right from wrong, without which the ability to reason away any type of behavior becomes more and more prevalent. And that is a very dangerous situation, in my opinion. This country has been put back on a track where it is not just a reasonable place, but it's a faithful place. And to me, that is such an important path to remain on as a mother, as a citizen, and as a human being. Till next time, this is Tanya Crow with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tanya Crow on Mama Grizzly Radio. More from the Crow's Nest next week. Now, on target with Kelly Carlson.
Thanks, Kevin. So on the topic of active shooter, a lot of people talk about getting their concealed carry permit, being prepared if there's an active shooter in a mall where they are, or the airport like Fort Lauderdale. And I think that's great, as long as you're good at it and you're safe and you know what you're doing. But people don't talk about, well, what do you do if you're there and maybe the bad guy's been dealt with, or maybe he hasn't, but you have these casualties laying around you, bleeding out, they have certain wounds. What do? You want to attend to these people. I know I do, and I know people did in Fort Lauderdale. I think people naturally want to help people that are in critical situations. But if you don't know what you're looking at, you may hesitate. You could further injure somebody. So what I've been doing for, the past 8 months or so, I've taken a course on what's called combat medicine, because it's a type of triage, right? So in a setting where you just need to sustain life and help isn't coming right away. So what does that mean? Okay, it means learning the anatomy, specifically heart, lungs, kidney, liver. Prioritizing, for us it was CAB, C-A-B, circulation, airway, breathing. And understanding what different types of wounds do to different organs. Identifying what a collapsed lung looks like, or hears, or sounds, or feels like. And they're not necessarily saying, oh, this is what you're going to do to fix the problem. But if you know what you're looking at, you can help somebody be more comfortable. You can possibly sustain life, given the situation. But more importantly, you have information that you can help communicate to first responders. Hopefully some are coming, but they may not be able to come in right away. And I think this is such a huge part of the active shooter that people aren't talking about. Everybody prepares, with their Glock, and they're ready to go if somebody, starts firing away. Great. But now what? What after that? If you deal with the bad guy, then what? You have all these casualties. You have to help them, or you'll want to, but you don't want to hesitate, and you want to understand what you're looking at and what it means for that person and what that means to the first responders. So I took this course, I don't know, 8 months ago or so. I'm taking another one this month, and then I'll be taking another one again, and I'm taking the same course because there's so much information, and I never went to med school to begin with. So, anatomy at this level is new to me. So I have to do it over and over and over. And by all means, am I not somebody who can practice medicine, nor am I going to. But I want to know and understand what I'm looking at if somebody's wounded or injured, whether it's fatal or not, or I want to know. I want information. So I have to educate myself in order to be able to identify and recognize and possibly assist, depending. But then I'm more in control of the situation. I can help somebody. And that's why it's important to me. And this whole active shooter thing, it doesn't totally seem to be going away. And so I think it's important that, we know more than just how to use a firearm in this situation. Like, let's learn to help the person who's hit. So we can help communicate to first responders, or if there's a doctor nearby, we can keep them comfortable without injuring them any further. But at least we know what we have an idea of the situation or the injury. Not that first responders are going to absolutely take your word, you know what I mean, and they shouldn't. But you can point them in a direction and give them some information. I think that's always helpful. So consider that. If you're somebody who is very conscious about active shooters, think about, what you can do with very limited supplies in the event a tragedy takes place and people are bleeding out, or they can't breathe because they have a collapsed lung, whatever it may be, identifying certain things, like if somebody's hit in the liver but no blood's coming out of the mouth, what does that mean? What does it mean if there's blood coming out of the mouth? What is the outcome possibly for them? Because they're different. And I think this is really important information, especially if you're preparing for an event like this. Arm yourself with more than just a firearm. Arm yourself with some knowledge on anatomy and what the body needs to keep going. So, anyways, something to think about. I'll talk about it again after I take the course a second time, and then I'm going to take it a third, or I'm going to take it as many times as I need to. So, anyways, something to think about. I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter, and we'll see you next week. This is Kelly Carlson with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in for more On Target next week. Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
On what would have been the 273rd anniversary of Thomas Jefferson's birthday, the April 13 afternoon hearing of the Convention of States Resolution HJR 39 in the House Select Committee turned into 7 hours and 45 minutes of passionate testimony from Texans exerting their self-governance muscles. About 250 Convention of States volunteers showed up in Austin Thursday at the Texas Capitol to provide testimony and or moral support for the Convention of States resolution, which is finally being heard in committee. In total, the opposition barely registered on 2 hands. 8, we call them the hard 8, testified repeatedly against all Article 5 legislation throughout the entire day. The clerk showed us that in all, 96 Convention of States supporters had registered to testify. That's incredible. I mean, 10-1 our people outnumbered the opposition. Even more than that, actually. An interesting aside is that the one lone person from the George Soros group Common Cause decided that Article 5 in the Convention of States wasn't worth his waiting hours and hours to testify, and he left the hearing long before his name got called, which was after even 7 p.m. What this really demonstrates is that anyone opposed to the Convention of States just uses Article 5 as the best issue they can to fundraise by fear. The grassroots appreciated a willingness of the committee chairman, Drew Darby, to not just host the hearing after the House adjourned for the Easter recess at noon, but his desire to let every voice of every Texan be heard, no matter how many. The grassroots paid very close attention to the fact that the only other committee members in attendance throughout the entire and quite lengthy hearing included Republican Representative Larry Gonzalez and even the Democrat Representative Rafael Anchia, as well as HJR 39 sponsor Representative Rick Miller. While every other House member had left for their holiday, these members and staffers decided the people's voices mattered more than getting an early start to their Easter vacation. What we saw was a tiny microcosm of the now 121,000 Texas grassroots who acted Thursday on this bold vision of America's founders. And that simple, bold vision is that we, the people, are sovereign. I want to add something here. When we ended the hearing, we had 119,996 supporters, petition signers in the state of Texas. By 10 a.m. Friday morning, we had over 121,000 people now in our ranks. Incredible. The point is that the Constitution was intended to limit the concentration of power that we see today at the federal level. The founders envisioned the people being the central focus, not a central state. But somehow, over the last 75 years, this has been reversed with this slow, cancerous creep of waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption at all levels of the federal structure. The tenacity of the Texas Convention of States volunteers has been a serious check to those in Austin this session. This relentless spirit of tens of thousands of Texans engaged in the Article 5 movement and actively working to get this resolution passed in Texas this year is something not witnessed in Austin in a very long time, if ever. And this, friends, makes the people dangerous. Since 2013, when our team launched its effort, thousands of man-hours spent walking the halls of the Capitol, calling legislators, training citizens, giving presentations, writing emails to state reps, and getting petitions signed has reaped rewards. The biggest reward is that Austin is listening, whether they want to or not. The will of the people of Texas matters, and legislators beware. We are watching you and your vote very, very closely. So as we look at what's happening this legislative session, and really over the last few years here in Texas, we are just one state out of many. There's now 10 states who have passed their Article 5 resolutions, and 25 to 30,000 Americans are joining the Convention of States every month. Why is that? Because they see that it doesn't matter who's in power in Washington. DC's never going to change. They only think about re-election and furthering their own power, shoring up the central state. They don't care about us. Why is this important? It's important because the revolutionary period put a stake in the ground, a red line, if you will, to never surrender our sovereignty. Texas knows this all too well because this week we're going to celebrate our independence and final victory of the Texas Revolution at San Jacinto that happened on April 21st. And in 2017, this will be the 175th anniversary of the Texas victory at San Jacinto. The spirit of the Texans, those Texans from 1836 who left a very large boot print or multiple boot prints on the orange dirt here, are being filled by Convention of States Texas volunteers in the form of ranchers, refrigerator repairmen, homeschooling mom, engineers, teachers, physicians, veterans, retirees, small business owners, and more. Americans of all stripes, Texans of all stripes, who are sick and tired of having everyone else cut their voices out. We believe that the first responsibility as citizens is to preserve constitutional order and recalibrate the balance of power between the federal government and the states. That answer is Convention of States, and the time is now. Join me. Learn more. Go to conventionofstates.com. Tweet me this week at Tamara Colbert, hashtag Mama Grizz Radio. Have a blessed Easter. Remember, we must stay engaged in the fight, even though we know that Jesus Christ's sacrifice gave us the win, gave us the victory. Until we go home in glory, it is ours. This country is ours. And this love for the American ideal of liberty and freedom, this God-given right to us, must be cherished and it must be protected. And that is up to you and me. Have a blessed Easter, you and your family. Have a great week. I can't wait to talk to you next week. I'm Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more liberty and legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy, On Target, and The Crow's Nest, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, at Tanya Yoga 13, and at FBR ABQ. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I'm also contributing to SarahPalin.com. Please check out my latest piece this week. Visit SarahPalin.com/author/Kevin-Scholla. Honored to be working on the governor's new site. I want to thank Tamara Colbert, Tanya Crow, Kelly Carlson, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Rob Maness, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Full Battle Rattle. Visit Facebook.com/Full Battle Rattle, ABQ. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update right here on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.